around, get shopping done, hit it. Bear down, Chicago Bears. No.
Randall's here. He doesn't know anything about that. He doesn't care.
Yeah. I care a little bit. I actually saw the highlights, and I was thinking...
You cared that Kirk Cousins was actually playing for your team.
Kirk was cooking.
He did do well. He did an amazing comeback, right? He came back against Tampa Bay.
Came back at Tampa Bay. I think he had 300 yards.
Yeah, he was slinging it.
It was a good performance for him.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan, but I do respect. I think he's a solid quarterback. Like, they're just ready to write him off like he's worthless. I was like, he was giving us problems with the Minnesota Vikings.
At the end of the day, they paid him and benched him.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know what else you can say, right? Something happened.
That guy is he's durable. I mean, besides the Achilles tear, he's durable, but it's a violent sport. And you know, I'm just happy. I mean, it's been such a long time, right?
And Randall, not to cut you off, but me and him gotta go. Man, we got some help. We got the Packers losing, we got the Lions losing, we got Parkins and Mika Parsons out. Their offensive line tackle is out for Green Bay.
Watson's out.
And the Watson, yep. I think I heard the tight end got hurt too.
It was great. It was great.
It was great.
It was a great weekend.
Like a true Bears fan, it's great. All we got to do is win on Saturday, and we win and clinch the division.
Yeah, it's funny, though. I mean, based on the playoffs, it looks like we'll play them in the first round all over again. So, you know, it's just choosing your destiny. Where are you going to play that game at? But we'll be right back as Soldier Field. So we shall see.
Oh, you're saying right back at to play the Packers?
Yeah, I mean, if we finish... Yeah,
the way it would go.
Yeah,
right?
second seed.
They'd be the number 3 team, essentially, is what you're saying?
Bears would be 2, and then Packers would finish 7th. 2 plays 7, only 1 gets a bye.
So we need some help. I don't want to play the same team 3 times.
Don't like playing that. That's not a good recipe.
No.
And you know, they should do something about that. Like, if you're in if that situation happens, you shouldn't play the first round against your own divisional team.
Well, the NFC South, where Atlanta resides, is going to probably have a team that's going to have a under 500 record potentially.
Right. So as the number 2 seed, we should play that team.
Correct.
Right?
We don't make the rules.
Hey, we can make the rules. It's our show.
Let us have our 8 and 9 team get in and be happy.
It's crazy. I mean, and not only do you get in, you get a home game.
Yeah,
because you won your division. So
the Southern economy needs every help we can get.
Oh my goodness!
Let's get to the topic about making money, right? Not about playoffs. So it was going to be you and Dante today, and I made a guest appearance. So I got back from my stuff early today. So I didn't realize he wasn't going solo, but I'll still hang around for the day too.
Yeah, no, appreciate you coming, Vince. You know, I thought, you know, obviously the last couple times you've been on, Randall, we've been debating, right? We've been on, to some degree, opposite sides of the fence. And I was like, you know what? We got to agree on some things. There's got to be some topics we're sharing the same sentiment. So this is something that kind of, you know, it's a conversation that I had with clients. And clients tend to say, when do I call you? When am I supposed to call you? And obviously it's easy, like, oh, I want to buy a house, but you know, when should I call you if I'm a homeowner? And so I kind of expanded that idea and that concept. I said, well, you should be calling your whole financial team, because these changes in your life will change the dynamic on how you invest, how you just live life. So I thought these were good topics to really inform the audience today. Hey, these are times when you should be looking out to your financial team, whether you're a realtor, a financial advisor, loan officer, these are the times to call them because this can help you. So let's talk about it. So this is not from a book. This is kind of just off the top of the dome. I listed 8 times in a person's life that they should reach out. And so let's start off with the first one. I try to put them all as D's because, I'm just, D for Dante. So I said departure, but I really meant change of jobs. When you're leaving a job, going to a new job, that is an opportunity to speak because it could be your increased salary, or it could be also a decrease, depending on, hey, I just had to take any job. I couldn't stand it there. I hated my boss. So I took a less paying job. This is going to change your lifestyle. And this is a conversation we need to have. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know for me personally, a job change is a big deal. And when we talk about specifically living situations, a lot of it has to do with what situation are you in today? And because of that job change, the increase of salary, a decrease of salary, a change in location, what are the ramifications of taking that job? And that actually should be part of the job switching decision. If I have to move to another state, if I move to another area of town for help with traffic flow, does this job compensate me enough to be willing to do that? Am I going to uproot my kids and have them go to another school? These are like life decisions that happen when you do a job change, that when you receive the job offers, first you congratulate yourself, great job, because you've gone through the process. But then you have to ask yourself, is this a good fit for me in these changes, such as a mortgage, such as how much I can save and put money away? What do these changes mean to me as far as my long-term financial outlook and my long-term enjoyment of life outlook, which I think is important?
Sure, no doubt. I think all of us have actually changed jobs as I look at all of us today. So we've all had this experience, and just what did you do, Vince? I mean, as far as like, did you have did you talk to the powers that be? I mean, what did you kind of do as far as the job change goes?
Well, for me, it's my own decision, right? So I just made the decision. There's no family other dynamic in it. It was just me, always in my own decision. The only thing I wanted to drag in to add to what Randall said was, we kind of do the same things when we're buying a house. How much further is my drive to work going to be when I purchase a home? So I just kind of want to bring that parallel, right? Because you have that talk. Is it closer to the parks? Is it closer to the schools? What am I doing? Is it 10 minutes more? Is it 20 minutes longer? Like, it matters. So, and again, I'm going to let you guys hit those talking points. So I
got it. Yeah. I mean, qualification timing when you're talking about a house is a big deal. So if someone is going from, let's say, a salary position, and now they're saying, hey, I want to be self-employed, that's going to impact what they qualify as far as their income goes. So, generally speaking, we want to see a 2-year time frame of, the transition of, okay, now you're self-employed. Now you have bonus income, commission income. We have to get an average of the last 2 years. So, I mean, that might stifle someone's ambitions of buying a house.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think we go to an accountant a lot of times and we want them to reduce our taxes as much as possible. But like you said, if I'm thinking I'm going to buy a house in the next year or two, maybe reducing our taxes all the way down may actually work against our long-term goals. And a lot of people, it's tough for them to get their head around that. I want to buy a house. I may need to show more income than I may have done in the past.
Yeah, we do have some opportunities as far as alternative income programs, which are, I'm thinking of like bank statements. So we have a bank statement program which allows us to only use 12 months of the last 12 months of bank statements to help people get qualified in that fashion. So that might be a problem to try to solve it. But generally you might be slowing down your process of buying a home if you're saying, hey, I'm going to do a job change. Now, if you're going from self-employed to salary, it's much easier in that way, in that effect, because obviously we can just go off the salary and move forward. Salary is optimal. It's the easiest route, easiest approach. But that is something that we do have to counter and take into effect. So this is one of the 8 that I say, hey, you definitely want to reach out to your financial team and talk about, because this is important.
And the other one is opportunities to roll over your 401ks. Don't just let that money just sit there. Make sure you structure it correctly and you get with your planner to have those discussions as well.
No doubt. The second one I came up with, and I think this is right in Randall's, is divorce.
Ooh, I will agree with that one on the list.
Not jinxing you about divorce. No, just I know you talk about marital spouses and working together. So we can talk, I guess we can do it twofold. We can talk about the marriage aspect of it, because getting married would be an opportunity that you would want to discuss, as well as just, obviously when you're saying, hey, we need to get a divorce.
Yeah. Let's talk on the positive side. Let's say two couples coming together, and what does that mean? And so you found somebody that say, I want to spend my life with this person. But a lot of people do not take a step back and say, I'm also going to go on a financial journey with this person, whether that is a lot of adverse things or a lot of positive things. Maybe it means you double your income of your household. Sometimes it means you may lower the average salary of your household. So when you get married, you're not only marrying that person that you love, their behaviors, their activities, you're also marrying their money habits. And we all have them, their money flaws. So when you think about marrying somebody, you have to have the patience for them when they don't pick up their clothes on the ground, but you also have the patience for them when they don't do the things that you think they should do financially.
You've been speaking to my wife, huh?
Better hope she's not watching the show.
No, she's in a class right now. But it says married households build wealth about 16% faster than single households.
Yes.
So it is encouraged, obviously, the marriage, and even the tax code feels like, it's telling you that you should be married to have the most success in America.
Yes.
I found that fascinating. I like how you said habits. So you are marrying habits. You're marrying credit scores. Back in the day, there was a lady named Barbara Pies. So shout out to Barb if she's ever listening to this. I appreciate her. She used to do. She was a loan officer at the time. She used to do the marital. It was like at banquet halls. It was like a marital expo.
Yes.
Do you guys have those down there?
Yeah, we have expos where they have like different vendors that support weddings and
bridal
couples.
Bridal show. There we go. Yes. Yeah. You have DJs and florists and such. And so she would actually, get a booth as a loan officer. And she came up with this banner that said, you don't want to find out on wedding night what your spouse's credit score is.
Oh, wow.
And, talked about going through the pre-approval process up front versus, finding out like, oh man, I thought you just assume, right? I pay my bills. I assume everyone does. And then you find out, there's glitches in the system. So I thought it was a clever marketing strategy to meet, first-time home buyers, potentially speaking, people that were getting married. And it is something like credit scores, debt, liabilities. These are conversations kind of maybe a little tough, but these are definitely things that you should have up front.
Yeah.
They're tough.
One of the things I definitely like is that I tell my clients, when you meet that special someone and you want to take it further, you have to get naked. You have to show them your entire credit score. You have to show them all the debts that you have. You have to show them your income. You have to show them actually your spending tendencies, because, we talk about, relationship infidelity in the media and on TV shows, but there's also financial infidelity. And that sometimes can hurt more in certain instances than the traditional infidelity. So be transparent, open up, show everything, because that's going to actually increase the intimacy long-term with you and your partner.
I'm gonna add a little line to Randall's statement there. If we sleep in the sheets, we got to tumble in the weeds, right? And with that being said, right?
Get that one.
Where are we going with this?
Man, I haven't heard that one before. That's a new one.
But with that being said, right? We operate as a regional brokerage shop. We're licensed in multiple different states, right? And when you're coming to this point of having that conversation of commingling accounts and assets and everything that go with it, there's rules that you want to follow in each of the two states, right? Whether you're coming into the marriage with property, or if the soon-to-be spouse is now going to come into the property I already own. These are all conversations that need to have happen. I'm totally against buying joint property unless you are married. Just one of my personal things out there. And that's basically, besides the joke, that's the important thing here. I know we talk about in buying investment properties and buying a primary residence here in Illinois. If two people are not married and they're about to get married, you can actually strategically work to buy two primary residences before the marriage. And then you have an investment property, and now you have a primary residence, assuming you're following all the rules that are required to the programs and things of that nature. But it's the combination of putting everything on the table.
I used to see that more actually, a couple, probably a decade or two ago, where you did see these boyfriend and girlfriends go ahead with that concept of getting a house together. And then, of course, the relationship doesn't work out. Now, what do you do? How do you untangle this house? Who's going to stay or who's going to go? And then you end up, selling. And so that could be a huge major issue as well. So these are some, it's a serious thing. You just have to be mindful. No ring, maybe you shouldn't move forward.
Yeah, and I think we also have to be slightly culturally sensitive that people aren't getting married as much. They are moving in together and sharing expenses before being wed. So for a financial planner, I'm not sure how you guys see it on your end. Things get a little bit more complicated and dicey because you do have to keep things separate, knowing that they still are kind of operating together. I'm curious to see, what are you seeing in the buying market when couples may not be traditionally married or together, or even have a traditional couple arrangement?
So it's so funny you say that, because I was talking to a realtor last week and I said, marriage, baby, house.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if we went back to the 1950s, what was the order of sequence?
Yeah.
It was probably marriage, house, then baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, fast forward 75 years and look at how, how different it is now, right? It's probably baby, house, maybe then marriage, So yeah, we do tend to see a lot of single women.
Yes.
A lot of single women are the ones, it feels like the women are more steady Eddie with the job. You see more men in a sales environment, commission laden, self-employment, taking more risk, where, the woman has a steady Eddie job. She can, she's got the credit, she's got the income, and then she can qualify. Or, she might not make as much as the husband, but, she keeps things minimal, where it seems like all the risk, all the debt seems to be on the man. Now that's generally a generalization, but that's what we tend to see at times.
Yeah. Last curveball for me, if you're on the other side of this and we are talking divorce, you should get with your divorce attorney, your mortgage person, and your financial planner and your tax advisor together as a couple, discussing how to avoid tax liabilities to retrieve the assets that you guys are going to split up. Whether that's the house, whether that's deferred comp, whether those are retirement accounts, and so forth. You should look at everything to figure it out from a tax advantage standpoint first, too. Because you want to reduce that liability, because you're going to pay taxes on that money if you start splitting it up.
And Vince, can we let the audience know that a divorce decree doesn't rewrite the loan?
That's correct, right? It doesn't rewrite the loan. It says that you have to get him or her off of the loan, and you may need to redo the loan. And depending which loan program you're in, you may be able to keep your current loan, but it depends on which program you're in and how the divorce decree is written. Now, if the spouse is written to give X amount of dollars out of the divorce decree, and we do a conventional loan, that is not considered cash out. That's considered rate and term, which makes it different for loan pricing. FHA is very lenient on that, but then you're capped at 80% of the value of the home. Where on conventional, well, you're still capped because it's cash out. But there's some different ways of doing it, right? And we don't want to get into all the loan products and how to structure all that. But again, it's part of the thing. My last two deals with Epic have been divorced because of divorces. So it's out there. It has to be structured correctly, right? You have to be able to buy a new home to leave the old home, but can you afford to buy the home before the divorce decree is finalized and you don't have the child support to allow you to qualify for the new home, right? So these are all things that you just have to go through, because if you just go to divorce attorneys, they're just going to take your money for the divorce. And now you got to go structure through it. Well, how do I execute what happened on the decree?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and Georgia has some specific rules too. I did a divorce situation in Georgia, and I can't think of exactly what the nuance was, but it was something where the stipend that the divorced husband was paying the woman, like they want a certain amount of time frame, and it trumps any of just your standard FHA guidelines. So it was like, oh, she doesn't have enough seasoning for this income. State of Georgia doesn't allow it. It forced me to have to find a co-signer. And so
Right.
luckily we had a sister down in Florida who co-signed with the lady in Georgia. So we got the deal done. And then we had to come back just this year to refinance and
Redo it.
remove. Yeah. So, no, it is a situation. Obviously, divorce, the biggest thing obviously on our end, Randall, would be the income, that you referenced that, really takes into account. It says divorce reduces households' wealth by 40 to 50% on average. But the key thing is, if people are living financially through one person and that person now is gone, that's a huge situation where it's going to impact them. And then what do you do? I have someone down there right now. I'm trying to work this deal out in Georgia where husband leaves. He was making the majority of the money. She was a stay-at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to keep the house because she has the kids. But she actually, and here's the thing, I know you'll love this. I was telling her to take the money out of the walls,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was telling her to do a cash out refinance because she had good credit. And so I was like, here, let's get the money out of the walls. And we're going to take a big chunk out. And I want you to take enough out so you could go back to school and go get a degree, go get, some extra training, CE, whatever, so you can put yourself in a better position. And she's like, well, oh my God, what about this mortgage? I said, use the money to pay the mortgage. So then that way the mortgage is taken care of and you can get this additional learning so you can increase your income. And then we'll look to, reevaluate down the road. But, that's what we're kind of working on right now because she's just struggling with, her paying job right now. It's just not enough. It's not enough. But what she needs is to go back to school. And it's like, hey, this is the opportunity to go back to school and just use the money. So then that way you could take time out off your job, get the money before you, let go of the job. So then you can reestablish yourself in a better situation, through education. So these are real situations that do occur that we, obviously we're opposed to. If we're going down that path, why don't we speak about death? Why don't we go into a little morbid death situation, Randall?
Yeah. So death. So you address the sensitivity of death, and there always will be mourning. As in the financial planning world, when somebody passes, we tell that individual, even though if they inherit a lot of money, even though if they are transferred a lot of money, just take a pause on your life. Do not make any major financial decisions for at least 6 months to a year. And that is so important because a lot of times you're grieving. And then also a lot of information is public when somebody passes. So there are a lot of people going to come in and try to scam you, get money off of you, especially if they know if you receive money. So the number one thing is to pause when somebody passes in your life that you truly care about. Allow yourself time to mourn. Of course, move your money in a situation where you can pay your bills, but then begin to make action, whether that's downsize on a house, whether that's move to another location. There's a lot of different scenarios when somebody passes because your life is going to be different than what it was with that close one nearby.
Anything you want to share on that, Vince? I know we've talked about it on the show.
I'm going to back on pretty much everything he said there, right? I mean, you want to take the time. I mean, if you go from, husband and wife and now it's just one parent, the parents got a process of what happened, but you still got to raise the kids while you're trying to process that information, right? So there is a ton of stuff that you have to deal with. And sometimes just taking a step back is the right choice. And the other thing is that I'll just add to it from this side. When you go to one household, you're going to burn through some of the assets you accumulated when you were a 2-income household. And that's okay as long as it's a short term and there's a plan. So, hey, I don't want to move for 2 years because the kids are still in grammar school and I want to move to a different high school, we're going to stay here. And I may burn $20,000 or $30,000 in order to make that happen, but that's okay. And I'll leave it at that.
I got a neighbor, unfortunately, a great guy, passed away. He's about 3 houses down from me, and his wife has not come home for the last 2 weeks. You know, obviously dealing with obviously just I mean, he was always there, you know, towards the last 10, 15 years, and she hasn't come home. You know, she stayed with her daughter in another town, but it's a sad situation, you know, and obviously planning. You know, and I just hope that the plan was there and put in place so, you know, she can move forward. So it is an emotional time, but numbers are still numbers, and just making the right decisions to put your best foot forward as best you can. But I did want to touch on that because the reality is only 33% of adults, they say, have an estate plan. And, you know, planning is a part of everything that we need to be doing. And that's what we talk about on the show, is about planning and strategies. And, you know, the fact that, you know, these stats are out there, it just shows that the level of planning that we don't do is really our detriment. You know, that's our demise. So keep that in mind.
I would like to add that, you know, we're men on this show. Men tend to pass before women do. I mean, that's just a statistical fact. And a lot of times a woman does not want to stay in a 4-bedroom, 2-story home by herself, rolling the garbage down to the street. So as you had mentioned, estate plan, even though nobody wants to talk about it, talk to your spouse and think about, like, hey, honey, if something were to happen to me, where would you want to live? And begin having those conversations, because the first time she thinks about it shouldn't be while she's mourning. And that's the only advice that I would provide.
Love it. Yeah, who's going to pick up that dirty laundry, right? Next one up is let's talk about. So we're knocking out some. We're doing a great job on this. Let's talk about disability. I thought disability would be a great one. A disability, I think, when disability comes, it's a fluctuation in income again, and this would be an opportunity for us to have a conversation to see if there's anything we can be proactive about. Do you see the same as someone should reach out to their financial advisor when a disability occurs?
Yes, statistically, folks will actually be disabled, or unable to work at their current occupation, before they'll actually prematurely die. So having things in place is important when you think about disability. And there's, you know, of course, there's things like disability insurance, but if you become disabled, naturally, there's going to be a reduction in income. It could be a major reduction all the way to zero and you're living on government assistance, or it could be a minor reduction if you have things in place and it's 60% of your income. Either way, things are going to be reduced. And we talked about our living situation. You may need to have a house that suits your disability, whether that's not having stairs, maybe they have something with the ramp, maybe it's a assisted living facility. These things necessitate a life change, which is important to include your financial planner in those conversations. And a lot of things we talk about, what do I say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound worth of something else. If you think about these beforehand, have those conversations, that's really what help in a lot of these scenarios.
They say 1 in 4 Americans will experience a disability before age 67. And my father had a double stroke at the age of, was he 56?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those situations where you don't know. He might have been a little bit older than that. He was. Now you got me thinking. Okay, yeah, I think he's 70 now. He's still alive, thankfully. But you know, obviously, we weren't expecting it. It was and forever changed things. And fortunately, you know, it was kind of the pre-planning that, you know, being in this sphere, being in this spectrum of just looking at things differently, I planned a little bit, but, you know, definitely could have been a huge, you know, demise to just every expectation when you lean on someone, when you depend on them. I mean, it's a father, right? It's a brother, it's a father. You depend on them. And now when they can't deliver, you know, that's a huge issue. So disability is something that should not be taken lightly. You know, Vince, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've made it clear. The audience knows that I am disabled. I became disabled at 44. it hits you to the standpoint that you can't truly plan for everything that would need to happen. And what I mean by that is if I was married and had a house and had kids, the amount of income that drops to what you're allowed to make to what you can make versus what you were making is so substantial when you depend on government SSDI that the assets almost have to go away immediately because they need to go away and be sheltered into what you're allowed to keep. And what I mean by that is your house is exempt depending on what level of assistance you're getting, but other things are not, like life insurances and IRAs. They take away benefits if you have so much in those when you become disabled, regardless if you were married or not. For those that have kids that do have disabilities, when you fund your IRAs and your 401ks, remember to look if your state has what in Illinois we have an ABLE account. And those ABLE accounts allow money to be sheltered for people with disabilities. They're sheltered in the standpoint that it doesn't take away from any assistance that the state would give, depending on which type of disability assistance you receive. They grow tax-free, and there's no penalty for withdrawals as long as it's related to those levels of care. With that being said, you need to have some form of disability insurance, and I missed that in my financial planning. I had life insurance and didn't look at the disability insurance.
It's big. It's big.
Yeah. I mean, you said it best. I think it's and I only got 3 more, so let's just try to bang these out, and then we'll take a little housekeeping, and then we'll answer some of these questions. Let's do something on a positive note. Having kids. Having kids would be a reason why you would want to reach out to your financial team. You'd want to talk to your financial advisor, whether you're establishing a new 529 plan. I know that could be a thing, or life insurance. Also too would be, and I never asked you, Randall, do you do life insurance? Do you do 529 plans?
I do not, no. And the 529 plans are usually issued through the state, but I do not issue 529 plans either.
Okay, fair enough. But you could do, what would you do for a kid? Let me ask you that.
Yeah, so let's start off. I think people have to realize kids are expensive. And they're just is getting pricier. And if both parents want to work, putting your kid in any type of daycare program is going to be expensive. And what I tell my clients when they have kids, expect your bank account to be negative, maybe for the first time in their entire lives for the year, because you are going to spend so much money taking care of your kids, and having plans for those kids are important. But what I recommend for kids is, first, it necessitates life insurance. If something were to happen to you, do you have something in place to take care of your kids? The second thing, because you have that life insurance, you just can't hand over $1 million to a child. You may need to have an estate plan, or at least understand who is going to take care of your child if something were to happen to you. And I think the other things like college planning, a lot of that has to do with the culture of the family. Some families are very big on college, so they're guaranteed their child is going to be a doctor. Other people are more, let's see, the academic prowess of the child when it comes to paying for education. So those are things that I think about when a parent is having kids and want to appropriately plan for those kids.
So you're basically saying a baby is a blessing, but a line item. That's what I heard.
It's going to be sometimes bigger than your mortgage.
Which is true. They say 43% of families have adequate life insurance. So we're still under that 50% mark. And childcare, I believe on VA, Vince, now tell me if I'm right on this. Childcare does count towards a monthly debt on VA loans. Is that correct?
On a VA loan, yeah. If you put it out, if you tell us about it.
Right. Well, they make you have that child care letter.
Right.
So if so,
so I mean, we don't see it, we don't know, right?
Of course. See no evil, hear no evil.
And I don't mean it that way, right? I mean, if it's not on a pay stub, we have no idea if you do pay child support or not. We just ask the question, do you have kids? Are you married? This is what it is, right?
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things to, it's another expense, and it's a hidden expense at times. And so it's, and that's why I always say when we talk about affordability with people, right, when we're working on the pre-approval and we say, hey, what can you afford? These are things that I don't know. I don't know how much your daycare costs are. These are things I don't see on a credit report. So, these are things that we lean on you to tell us so that we make the right decision of, hey, because on paper it looks like you can afford it, but I don't know what these hidden costs are that can actually impact on what you can afford.
Yeah. I'm just going to kind of speed through one couple things because we said this before, right? We've said this in previous show. Take money out of the walls if you need cash. We've made that before in the past. And I've also made comments that if your parents have assets and you do have a young child, it's time to have that conversation with your parents of, hey, we need to talk about what you're going to wind up giving me. Can we now maybe set some of that up into Tim's IRA or Tim's 403B and work towards bringing that money in there to give it longer term growth and give it a bigger starting balance than what initially could have been planned. And I'll just leave it at that.
Awesome. All right, final two. Let's go through these quickly, but take some time if necessary. Deployment. And I'm so glad you're here, Vince, because for some reason I think you're like the king of the VAs. So, but deployment, obviously over 60% of active duty families relocate at least once every 3 years. And so we have a couple, veteran, or I should say, military families that are working with Epic and their wives. And, just through them, I hear the stories of like, here, we're in Kansas, but we're going to be moving to Alabama. We're here in Georgia, but we're going to move to Washington. We're going to be moving to Korea. So, these are the things that people don't realize or recognize per se with dealing with military families that, sometimes their assignment calls for them to relocate so frequent. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's not just because we're in war. It's just because, hey, whatever the situation is, the dynamic is your assignment is called and you have to relocate. And so within that 3 years, you might establish a life, right? You might establish, kids and schools, and now you have to pick up and leave. And I even know that just within my in-laws and just, they just bounce around. So it's really hard to establish and stay grounded because you always have to be ready to move.
Sure. I mean, it is part of the thing. I mean, it's just, you are transferred around, right? I mean, you always, you hear families that are with our service members of, well, we're moving here, or I lived here, or I lived there, or I lived there. And it is an application that has a different address every 3-4 years.
Yeah. So, always, these are situations where for our veterans out there, anytime the move is coming, you should speak to a loan officer, a realtor, a financial advisor, someone that can give you some guidance, make sure everything is going to be lined up the way you need it to be, because relocation will require potentially selling the house or converting it to a rental property. It could also, you might have questions about your finances. Randall, did you have anything you wanted to insights you want to share on this one?
From my angle, what I see, I don't work too much with young active duty members who are bouncing around, but when they become veterans, they usually kind of fall into my wheelhouse. Be careful if you want to do rental property in another state, meaning if you have to be deployed to another area, do you want to keep that home and manage that rental property? Because it's a little different when you can't go down the street and check on that property. So just kind of keep that in mind. And if you understand that given how you are in the military, you're going to bounce around, ask the question, is owning a home something I want to do right now? Is renting a house maybe something more aligned with what I want to do? These decisions, because you guys tell me, how long does a homeowner get a return on their investment when it comes to staying in the home to pull out equity? Because after you do, brokerage fees, moving costs, it takes some time to recoup those fees.
Sure.
Yeah.
7 to 10 years.
I want to do a little not pushback to that, but remember the VA loan program is 100% financing, no mortgage insurance, plus the relocation that goes with it. So to the veterans that are out there that have eligibility, it is a fantastic program. From that standpoint, it gets you in the house with really no money into the property if you choose to use your VA benefits. Yes. And don't let the public disguise that as, well, I can go conventional, I can go VA. You're still better off going VA.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it is a conversation. What Randall said, I think, is a good one. There's tons of opportunity. There's property managers, but I mean, as we probably all know, a bad property manager. I've had the conversations. Oh, he said he was going to do this, and he hasn't done anything. So, if the house tends to be a burden, and you don't, and obviously you don't put any money down, you don't even have equity to kind of, quote unquote, bail yourself out. There is some situations, softening of the market could impact you where you're not able to sell. So there are some things to consider and variables to wonder about. But overall, these are just conversations that you should engage with your financial team. And not to say you decide not to do it, but it is something. It's something to have a consideration. I think a lot of, if we're saying 3 years ago, that's putting us in the 22 category right now. Some of these people that are, they bought because the rates were lower at the time. So it made more sense for them to buy if they're going to put no money down than to rent from somebody else. But now, to your point, hey, it's 3 years, 4 years in, and now they're telling me to, I'm going to be reassigned. I don't really have a lot of equity, and depending on the location, there might not be enough money. If I got to bring money to closing, then I better learn how to be a landlord,
Right.
From far distance. So it's something to consider. The last D that I kind of thought, and I kind of waffled on it, but I thought degrees. I thought, when you obtain master's or JD or some type of degree, I think that's always an opportunity to have a conversation of just, redirecting your mind on where are you going on a professional level. And, is this the right time, just to plant the seed? What do you guys think about degrees?
I think go ahead.
I'll say this very, very quickly. Depending where you are in your life and to what degree you're going for, the cost of getting that degree could cause a financial burden. So pay attention to it, right? It could make it more difficult to obtain a house or to do the things that you need to do. It's really, is it necessary, and how much more am I actually going to make on it, right? At a certain point in time, it's a business decision, not just to collect paper. And a lot of people in education like to add additional degrees because it helps the certifications and helps with what they get in terms of their salaries, but it also adds a lot to that balance sheet. And I'll just let it go.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what Vincent said. I think back in the day, a degree sometimes meant you're automatically going to be employed somewhere. You're automatically going to make more money, but that's no longer the case. I think when we talk about this conversation, talk about bring your financial team together. When you do get a degree, I think you need to bring your whole economic team, social network together, because finding a job is not easy. Finding a good job is not easy. And you need to bring those people together. I know for me, I'm a financial planner who works in a specific niche of the population. Having somebody who kind of knows that industry, knows who you need to go talk to, that's what's going to help you get the most out of that degree, because it's not guaranteed an automatic income bump in this day and age.
No doubt, no doubt. Good stuff, guys. Yeah, I mean, obviously, with credit reports, we see a lot of people, in the world of $200,000, $300,000 of student loan debt, and you would think that, oh, you're a doctor? No, you're a account executive. Like, what's that? Or, definitely, don't get me started on a tangent, but yeah, shame on the guidance counselors or whoever said that was a great idea and approve some of these, student loans. I mean, because some people just like to learn, but at what cost, and what costs are they impacting their own life? So, yeah, I am a firm believer.
I want to put a shout out to, I put a lot of onus on this on the parents. Be careful how you guide your kids to different universities. A lot of parents love to say, my child goes to XYZ prestigious school. And that's how the student builds up debt. So really coach your kids on the economic impacts of certain degrees, not just focus on the namesake and how does that make your child feel or you feel knowing your child goes to that school, because I see that a lot in my world. All
right. Yeah, you got Bulldogs, you got the Yellow Jackets. Those are prestigious schools down there.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the number one? What's the number one school in Georgia? What would someone really have their chest out for?
That depends on what you want to get involved in. I think if you want to go into health sciences, you have the private school, Emory
Okay.
University. If you want to be
Emory.
engineer, you have Tech. I think it's just general population stuff. Georgia UGA is probably the hardest to get into.
Really?
But we have Georgia State, we have Kennesaw, we have some highly competitive. We have a lot of HBCUs that are extremely competitive, Morehouse and Spelman. We have our pick of the litter, which is why when a parent and child makes a decision, it should be based on the degree and what that degree gets you. Because some schools are able to employ their students in certain areas more than others. You have to be more strategic than what I think a lot of people are with school.
Now, you didn't say Clark.
Clark is actually excellent university.
Okay,
the competition is high.
I got you.
Clark, the graduates from Clark, I've been equally impressed with, similar to all the other universities.
I have some family friends that went to Clark, so I'm very familiar. Hey, let's do housekeeping notes. This episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, refinancing, or investing, call Epic today. That's 708-905-5300. That's 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now, if you're liking this show, please give it a thumbs up. I mean, I've been seeing the numbers right now. It's amazing. We're talking about over 500 people listening to us right now. Really appreciate that. Obviously, if this is something that you like, this is the type of topics that you like to hear about, make sure you give this a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Now, after the show, I want you to go to the Epic Spotlight podcast, go to Epic Spotlight YouTube channel and listen to the most latest podcast. It's with Robin Weirley. I want you to listen to the incredible story of Robin Weirley. She's a former flight attendant, physician assistant, and creator of the ADAPTS portable rescue sling. Discover how her unique journey from aviation to healthcare led to the creation of a groundbreaking device reshaping airline safety and empowering people with disabilities to travel with confidence. I really enjoyed speaking with Robin. She was an excellent guest, and I learned a lot in a space that I'm not 100% familiar with. And so when you have a chance, check out the Robin Weirley story. It's really amazing. We do have some preferred listings. So when you have an opportunity, and I'll just put it in the chat, I've been doing this and I always wait until the last minute to do this. But when you have a chance, go to www.danteroyster.com. You can check out all the preferred listings right there on the site. And that'll allow you to see homes that might be in your area that you might be familiar with and wanting to get, pre-approved for. So make sure you check out DanteRoyster.com. A couple that are top to mind is we do have 6200 South Marsh Lane, Matson. It's a single family house, 4-bed, 2.5 bath, going for $270,000. Contact L'Oreal Flowers, 312-774-4230. We have 14926 Kenton Avenue in Midlothian, Illinois, going for $339,940. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. Contact Sebastian Kupiec at 773-430-8988. We have 2602 Hummingbird Lane in Humble, Texas. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, going for $284,444. Contact CJ Jones at 281-356-0203. And then we have 240 North Park, Glenwood, Illinois. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, going for $240,000. It's not going to last long. Make sure you contact Jennifer Simmons, 773-494-9476. We do have other properties available on DanteRoyster.com. So when you get a chance, check it out. All right, we got some questions here. I appreciate everyone dropping in some questions. We got a couple hellos, and we got, I don't even know, but okay. What's the first financial move people should make after a major life change? What do you say, Randall?
First thing is take inventory. When a life changes, somebody passes, you get divorced, you become married. A lot of people really don't know, okay, how much do I have in bank account? How much do I have in investments? How much do I owe? How much do I spend? What's my nugget every month that I have to crack? Take a complete inventory of what you want to do. And then second thing is figure out what's going to make you happy in the future. Yes, you get married and your spouse is supposed to make you happy, but there's some other things. What makes me happy as a married man? What makes me happy as a divorced person? What makes me happy as a disabled person? What makes me happy with somebody who owns a new house? really think about what's going to make you happy, because everything else, any other financial decision you make could be in folly or flawed just because you did not figure out what makes you happy and you're operating in a sense of deficit versus abundance. So take inventory, figure out what makes you happy. Those are the things that I would recommend.
Awesome.
Only thing I want to add to that, the take inventory too also means it may be time to reduce risk.
Fair enough. Next question we have is, how early should someone bring a mortgage or financial advisor into the conversation? Thanks, Branson. What do you say, Vince?
Well, I mean, I'm always going to say that right away, but no. I mean, at the point in time, like, we've already gone through your financials, and maybe we're talking on two different sides. We're putting a proposal of saying limited money down, and that planner may be putting a proposal of let's put more money down. When you got two advisors that you trust, put them all in the same conversation right away when that conversation comes up, right? And then not only can you make the best decision that way, each side could see where or what your planning looks like, right? Because for us, we're buying a mortgage, but for your advisor, you're still contributing to them monthly, but you're not going to be looking at us quarterly, as you will look at their results every quarterly or every 6 months as to how your portfolios are doing.
What do you say, Randall?
Yeah, I would say how early. I mean, as soon as possible, as practically possible. And your financial advisor does not have to be somebody you pay for. It be somebody in your family who's advising you, things like that. But you need to regularly have somebody speaking to you about your financial situation all day, every day. You can't go at this thing alone. As I mentioned earlier, we all have kind of quirks in how we spend money. We all need some level of oversight. Sometimes that's something that your spouse brings. Sometimes that's a mentor or a close friend does bring. But somebody should be regularly advising you about your finances. After you reach a certain wealth level, you possibly can afford a financial planner to help you along the way. But do not go any of these major life financial decisions alone. And I know that's counter to the culture where we figure we can always figure it out. But definitely share what you're doing with your finances, that you believe somebody who could help you out.
I love that. I think everyone should have a board of directors. You know, treat your individual self as a company, and you would have a board of directors, and using the board of directors is your loan officer, is your financial advisor, because they look at things just differently. It's a different perspective. Even sitting today, what Vince may do on something, I may do something a little bit different. What Randall may do, I may do something a little bit different. So getting different perspectives, because actually you're your best financial advisor. I've always believed in that, because you know what keeps you up at night, you know what you stress about, and you're really just getting intel from all these different people on maybe how they would address the situation. But choose your path, choose your own path. But get the information from your financial team. What's the biggest mistake people make when income suddenly changes? They keep spending.
Yeah.
Right?
We kind of touched on it too.
Yeah.
In the intro, right? Step back, don't do anything for a little while. Whether that's death or income, it still affects things, right? And income makes more emotional decisions of reactive when something gets decreased or you take a hit, a panic or sense of urgency.
Yeah. There's something in the financial world we call lifestyle creep. And you make more money, you slowly creep, because sometimes you're hanging around different people who do certain things, and you just slowly creep up to the lifestyle. You buy more expensive golf clubs, you go on more expensive vacations. People understand wealth is created in the gap between what you spend and what you bring in. And as long as you keep that gap small, you are going to have a challenge building wealth. So if you see an increase in income, like Vince said, pause, take a breather. That does not mean you have to reallocate. We can think of a million things that we want to spend, but make sure you keep that gap as large as possible, because in that gap is where freedom, options happen, and a lot of things that we discussed, those D's, won't hurt as much.
Randall, that is so good. That is so good. I actually saw that on a Facebook, and it hit me. They said, the true definition right there is the gap. And I ponder on that concept, because in my head, I'm wondering, well, why do people do that? And I feel like there's also a level of just wanting so many things in their life that they have never been able to obtain. So when the money goes up, quickly all their liabilities go up because they want to get these things. And it made me start thinking of just thinking more offensive minded, because sometimes this blip in the system, gives you an opportunity to live the life that you want to live. Well, then, I think we just need to have a more of a hunger to want to, have a more offensive mind and strategies on how we can really build ourselves up so we can have the things what we want. I feel like we're so malnourished from a lifestyle perspective, based on what is being fed to us by, a company. Hey, company, X is paying me this. And so we're so malnourished. And so when we finally have an opportunity where we get that raise or we get that bonus check, then we splurge it, because it's like, oh, I finally get to live how I want it. You know what I mean? Like someone that goes to the buffet and now, pigs out per se. And it's just a fascinating thing, but you hit it on the head. That gap is everything.
One thing I like to add, sometimes you have to have checks in your life. I'll give you an example for me. When I buy an item of clothing, I force myself to throw an item of clothing away. Stuff begins to own you as long as you accumulate things. And what I mean by own you, you have to clean it. You have to take care of it. You have to keep inventory of it. Try to make sure that things, as you build wealth, as you have more income, don't begin to own you. I lean more towards the minimalistic aspect, and that's not appropriate for everybody, but try to enjoy your wealth, that gap. Don't always try to have things that weigh down on your life.
Love it.
Don't throw it away. Donate it.
One in, one out. That's what I tell my wife. What advice would you give new parents financially?
Like I said earlier, it is okay for the first time in your life to have negative cash flow. When you talk about taking kids to the doctor, daycare, medical expenses, time off of work, whether it's extended maternity leave or paternity leave, you are going to go through a deficit in your financial times. Be okay with that. Be okay with not winning with money for the next 3 years. And just know over time it'll get better, usually because your income goes up over time and kid care or child care gets less expensive. Be okay with that period of time, and also seek help. If you're blessed and have family members, cousins, aunties, try to get them to help in with as far as taking care of the child, daycare. It literally still takes a community. I know we're in a society where we can do it all ourselves, but it takes a community to raise a child, and you want to be with parents who are going through the struggle with you as well.
It's so hard, and I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking, you still got me thinking about everything you just said. It's so hard when you try to give kids experiences.
Yeah.
And so for example, and Vince can probably relate to this, the Chicago Bulls, right? So as a kid, my dad had season tickets. He split amongst 4 families. And so I had the privilege of going to Chicago Bulls games and got to see Michael Jordan. He pat me on the head, all this good stuff. And so
when he had hair.
Yes, when I did have hair. So then here it is where it's like, oh, I want to return the favor for my kids. I want to give them this experience. But then the product is not worth what they're charging you. And so, you sit on the sidelines, and it's like, well, how long are you going to wait? Because eventually they're no longer kids anymore. Kids grow up so fast. You blink your eye. I talk to, I'll talk to someone I haven't seen in a while, and they say, oh, how old is your kid? Oh my God, I remember when they were 2 or 3, and now they're sprouting. And so it's like, then you just, okay, fine, I'm going to buy these tickets, because I can't get the value for it, but I want them to have the experiences. And so that there's always that fight between being a minimalist, doing the right thing financially, but then also providing for your kids and giving those experiences that you want them to have. It is something. Let's go here. What warning signs tell you it's time to review your financial strategy?
I think the simplest one is insufficient funds in your bank account.
Ooh.
The inability to lower your credit card balances, and really just never feeling happy or content with what you have. Having stuff does not make you happy. Having a high income doesn't make you happy. Having a whole bunch of wealth does not make you happy. So those are the things that I would say. Those insufficient funds, that's a big one. Credit card balances going up, I think that's a big one. And missing payments for whatever reason. Those are the three things that I would say are signs that, hey, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe I'm not paying attention, and I may need to improve some things in my financial strategy.
Good stuff. We got two more here. How does deployment or relocation affect long-term planning?
I'll jump in on that and say it shouldn't, because if you're in the military and you understand that that could be a point of happening, you should be planning for it. And so what I mean by that is, if you know that I can be changing locations every 3 or 4 years, I need to make that part of the planning. So it shouldn't change anything at all. It should just be addressed. And I don't have experience in that, but that's what I mean by that. Just that is the plan. Like, you know it's coming, so you're planning for it anyways.
Yeah, I got a customer lives in Indiana, and I helped him buy his first home. He got relocated to Alaska. You know, he maintained the property in Indiana and rented it out to family, knowing that his next move was into Georgia. You know, you know, you do have to just plan it out, but it should not impact your long-term plan. I love that answer. That is on the money. And the last question today: how can people stay proactive instead of reactive with money? Oh, great question, Damien. What do you say, Randall?
I would say pay attention. Pay attention. You'd be surprised how many people put their financial lives on autopilot. Remember, I said the warning signs: if people aren't receiving insufficient funds, if they're creating their credit card debt under a certain amount of balance, they don't pay attention. They don't live life. And I would say pay attention, and also have expectations of your money. I expect to be at X amount of wealth level in so many years. Ask yourself, am I on track for that? And if I'm not on track for that. So just pay attention and have expectations for your money. I expect to have this much saved up in a cash account for a rainy day fund. Have expectations for your money, and actually track and monitor you reaching those levels.
That's great. Pay attention. How often should someone pay attention, Randall?
At a minimum, monthly. If you feel like things are tight, you know, sometimes you go down to a weekly basis if you feel like getting those insufficient funds. But every month you should have a State of the Union. You should be able to quote your net worth off the top of your head. You should know approximately how much cash you have in each account. These things are just something that you should have in the back of the head, just like, you know, I'm trying to think what you're going to have for dinner, something like that.
The Bears record. I know what that is. 10-4. That was great. We did it.
So since I got a good laugh out of you guys, and in case the 500 listeners missed it, the line of the show was, if you're going to sleep in the sheets, make sure we tumble in the weeds. So at the end of that, I'm going to end it on that. Everyone knows how to reach me. I'll be back tomorrow. Randall, you have a great Merry Christmas, holiday season, and New Year. It's been a pleasure doing this with you multiple times this 4-month period. Of course, we'll have you back next year. Dante, I'll roll to you.
Randall, let everybody know where they can reach you and how do they get in contact with you.
Yeah, my name is Randall Avery. I'm here down in Atlanta, Georgia. You can reach me on my website, www.deasilwm.com. That's deasilwm.com. Reach out to me, schedule a 15-minute consultation. That'll be 100% free. I specialize in working with those who are about to retire, self-employed individuals, and practice owners. Thinks about dentists and therapists. And I would love to work with you.
That's awesome sauce. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow with a new episode. We have John Andrade joining us, a reoccurring guest. So that'll be fun to see what he's up to and talk about his book. His book has launched. So that'll be fun. And yeah, thanks for everyone listening. Appreciate everyone. Make sure you give this a like and share it with friends and family. Also, too, go ahead and make sure you check out the Epic Spotlight podcast, Robin Weirley. That's our most recent one, and that was a great one. All right. Thanks, everybody. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Take care, guys. Thanks again.
Yeah. See you.
Bye.